Hi, welcome to In Three Nerds We Trust, a real estate adjacent web series and podcast. Introducing your three nerdy hosts. Jennifer Higgins. She enjoys nerding out in the form of researching what motivates people, showing homes with the express intention of petting dogs, helping her clients buy or sell homes, and growing her office at California Life Properties, of which she is a managing partner. She likes to bring the fun and enjoys truly listening to all points of view. Christy Munoz. With 39 years in sales and marketing, she brings a wealth of experience on those topics to the table. As the owner of Christie's Coaching for Hire, she can share her knowledge or the knowledge of topics that interest you. Tina Jan. She's the owner, broker, and property manager of Stella Bode Realty and 888 Property Management. She is also the owner and a tutor of Inland Tutoring. She loves to learn about a wide variety of things, then applying the knowledge of those interests into skills that can become business solutions for herself and others. Her interests include real estate photography, photo editing, drone flying, counseling psychology, science, history, art, old books, journaling and planning, visiting beautiful places, knitting, and crafting. So, how are you guys?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
So what'd you learn this last week about, mistakes?
My mistake and what I learned, and you know what? I feel bad. I didn't do it this week or last week, but I feel like a just whole lifetime mistake that I've been doing since the beginning of my real estate career is not really having a CRM. Like I didn't have a really good customer relation management. Yeah, I didn't. I know it's so crazy, especially since I'm like super into tech, but that I just was. You want to know what my CRM was?
Google.
It was
Gmail.
a stack of Post-its.
I could name names of people that say the same thing in my coaching program. Just saying, you're not alone, but you've acknowledged.
But she's so technical and she's using Post-it notes.
Yeah. Like for a good probably 12 years, it was a stack of Post-it notes that I would go through. And I'm just saying, like, that was probably my biggest mistake. And just so you know, I have a CRM now.
So
Fabulous.
what was the thing that changed that? What was the impetus that you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't the way to go?
I just had to, like, I was so fearful of having to put that stuff into the database that I just never got around to it. And finally, I just had to sit down. I'm like, all right, if it's going to take a week, it's going to take a week. But I'm going to sit down this many hours, and at that time, I'm going to do database. I'm going to put them in there. And it was fine. But it took me 12 years.
How long did it take you when you started putting them in?
Oh, like 2 hours. It was nothing.
You're so ridiculous.
I know. And I'm not like that with anything else. Everything else, I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's do it. But for whatever reason, that thing had become so big in my head that I was like, oh, I'm going to have to do this. I don't want to do it. I just kept pushing it back. Anyway.
Why do things do that? I do that all the time where it's like just starting it is nearly impossible. But as soon as I start it and get it done, I'm like, okay, that was an hour. And you put it off for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's so silly.
Mm-hmm.
So Tina, can I ask you a really tough question for that?
Sure.
Did you label them? Did you make them into groups? Did you put in some?
Yep, I did. I did. Yeah, when I put it in there, I was fully intentional. I'm like, okay, I have to make this work for me. I have to know why they're in there. I have to like separate them into specific groups. So yeah, I did do that. Once I did it right.
Yeah, and you will find now that you're going to use it so much more than you never did before.
Right.
And there's a law of 1,000 anyway. It's 10%. Whatever the 10% of the number is in your database, that's typically the transactions that are sitting in there, just kind of waiting for you to, touch them.
Yeah.
I think you may have made Chrissy's brain explode when starting with that, honestly.
Right? You're like, no. Oh my gosh. Cringe.
But so common. Like,
Yes.
so common.
Yeah. It truly is. If I could tell you how many people say the same thing, and I just say that, okay, so give me all of those Post-it notes and I will put them into a Google Doc so that we could upload them at least into Gmail and start from there. And that's part of the thing. People just feel like it's a bigger task than it truly is. And as soon as they give it away to somebody else to do, their life is changed forever.
Yeah, I don't know what it took me so long. I have no problems importing contacts to anything. It was literally just importing contacts. And I don't know. There's something about it. It was just like there's something there that was
new
attached
Tina
to it.
Jan.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know.
But you did it. That's
awesome.
all that matters.
Yeah, that's what I learned. So now I'm all about, I think I was trying to find the perfect CRM. And I didn't want to do the work until I found the perfect CRM. And that was, I think, the problem. It's the working CRM is the one that's working, like that you're using.
When you're using,
so, yeah. At a certain point, I just like, all right, whatever. I'm overthinking this. I'm just gonna, whatever it is, it's gonna be it.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing your one mistake. Again, it blows our minds, but yeah, we've all been there.
Yep.
Every single one of us.
And welcome everybody to In 3 Nerds We Trust. In 3.
Peace out. 3, whatever. Okay.
In our mistake seat today, we have Tina Jan.
Hi, everybody.
I am Schmennifer Schmiggins, and Christy Sims Munoz is here too.
I peace out you.
Speaking of peace out, the topic for today is the mass exodus out of California. And so a lot of people are piecing out of California to possibly greener pastures in other states. So we all do our research here and we come back and just thrill each other with cool facts. What did you guys find out?
So I know a couple of things that I saw were we had a lot of population decline during COVID. But when they look at the numbers now, they were in like Santa Barbara County. As soon as those kids came back to school to go back to college, those numbers went up. So the majority of the numbers that I saw have actually recovered and are trending positive now. But I know that all of the news, all that they talk about is that people don't want to be in California. And you hear listing agents, and listing agents are saying like they have so many clients leaving from California. What did you guys find?
I know. And it's funny that you picked Santa Barbara. I found that 425,000 people more have moved out than moved in the last 2 years. Sounds like a really, really large number. So I tried to source that in several different facets so that I wasn't just taking the first one at face value. But I'm going to hover that around 400,000 more have moved out than moved in. Because I'm going to round it to where the 4 or 5 sources that I looked at kind of make it into about 400,000. What did you find, Tina?
I was looking at a couple different sources. I was looking at the census data. And so there's a really cool, I don't know if you guys have even checked it out, but on the census, there's a really giant spreadsheet if you're into spreadsheets, and it shows exactly who's going where, how many are coming back and forth. You can really see the flow of the United States in a really cool way. And I got some facts. I mean, you can always look it up, but it was saying like, most of California, let's see, Californians were moving to Texas. It was the most popular place for people to move to. Second was Arizona, third was Nevada, fourth was Idaho, and fifth was Florida. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And if you looked at the census data, you can see that other states were also moving around. Like New York was moving to New Jersey, Florida was moving to Georgia. It was like a lot of people were moving to like neighboring states. So thought that was kind of interesting too.
Did they say that most of the sources that I read through were the reasons? There's variables,
Yeah.
obviously, all kinds of reasons, but the majority of the states that people are moving to from California are because of the lower income tax.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first top, like, number one reason. And then it listed, a gazillion others, like, homelessness, um, lack of fire insurance,
Mm.
lack of homes. I mean, there was just a plethora of different opinions on why people were moving out, but they did have some really great things for people moving back in too. What did you think, Jennifer?
Well, it's interesting because I saw that a lot of the data I show that it's about 138,000 year over year is what they're saying for loss per year. But they're also saying that it's a lot of college educated that are going because they have the skills to move out and get a good job and still be able to succeed. They actually also said too that for I think it was 2021 to 2022, we had a huge influx of super high earners. So other states moving into California, people that are earning over $500,000 a year were coming into California in droves at that point. So it'd be interesting to see after a time, how all those numbers end up, who comes out, who goes in. I know that one of the things that really has struck my just gotten into my brain, how Los Angeles and San Francisco are the two cities that are the most harmed because people can actually go and work at their job but be an hour away where they can have a backyard and dogs and everything that they want in their homes without having to live in an apartment. So a lot of people are moving just out of the high traffic areas so that they can own more and have a different lifestyle.
Yeah, I saw that also when I was doing my research that the people moving out of San Francisco were actually going to other parts of the Bay Area.
Right.
So they weren't like leaving California, just moving to places more suburban areas.
Right.
I also was looking into oh, so Chrissy, you mentioned they were moving to states that had like lower income taxes. So when I was looking at it, some of the sources were saying that, California regularly has low income people moving out to other states where it's more affordable. They're leaving for affordability, jobs, and, like housing and things like that. But maybe for the first time, we had more people, high income leavers, going to those no income tax states or low income tax states. And that's where they were going rather than the low income people. So they were going to different states entirely. And then also I was seeing research that was pandemic based kind of. They were saying that for the pandemic, a lot of people were leaving. The work from home workers were leaving to go to other states, living in the other states, but still getting their California wages while working from home in another state, which I
Mm-hmm.
thought was, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I loved that because I read something very similar to that, but then I also found out that IRS had been checking on those people that say
Mm-hmm.
they moved to another state, and then they track you, like, how did you move to the other state? Are you 100% there? Are you working there, or are you just benefiting from the lower tax bracket and actually benefiting from the higher pay in California? And
Mm-hmm.
so that um tax, like, you get a fine for doing that or whatever the word is. That's what people, they were spending money. The IRS was spending money to track those people, and I thought that was very interesting because I thought, for how many people actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on to the IRS and then went down another rabbit hole, so I kind of lost my idea on that one. But I did like the that fact that people did move out of state. and then collected the higher income from California. They
Yeah.
are going to, they have a bill. I don't know that it's still out there for moving out of California. There's, mm, what is the name of that? I think it was 528 or 228, one of those bills to, like if you're moving out of California and you make over, I want to say $1 million, they can tax you for the next 10 years
Huh.
if that bill passes. And I thought, $1 million? That's a lot of money. But then I thought, wow, they're including your real estate,
Right.
they're including your stocks, they're including your income, that you make from your work, any type of retirement accounts and all. So that really isn't that much in California, right? A
Right.
lot of people have that kind of cash. Well, not a lot of people, but I was shocked. That was the rabbit hole I kind of went down in the IRS thing. Sorry.
Huh. I would like to check more into that actually. That
Yeah.
sounds like a really meaty kind of fun topic.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. And it started out at, I want to say 50 million. And then 4 years later, it was 30 million. Then 4 years after that, it was 10. So it started out at a really high number. And then it gradually became lower and lower on how much net worth you have when you move. And they're saying that it could get as low as $1 million. And I thought, oh, people are going to move. Better move now.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to track. And then obviously they're going to be taxed in their new home state.
Right.
So how are they going to do that? And how are the new states going to react to it? Like I could see them giving a tax break because it's like
Well,
they're
and then
fighting
they
over
said,
people now. That's just weird.
Yeah.
well, what if you moved to Nevada and then you realize, oh, I'm not really a Nevada person. I want to move to Florida. So now you're paying California, Nevada. I mean, if it catches on, like if
Yeah.
this
Right.
passes, California starts that, then every other state's going to say the same thing. When you move, you have to pay us taxes for 10 years. I'm like, oh. But I thought it was interesting. That was the little rabbit hole I got stuck in and I couldn't get out. I was like, help, help.
I find it interesting because I think statistics can be swayed in so many different ways. I know I read one article that says the recent population loss in Lassen County is because they actually closed a correctional center. So of course they're moving out all of the people that worked there, as well as moving the inmates or releasing the inmates. So there's data that you get, and then data that I think we don't truly understand until 10 years down the line.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. I know they were also saying that people are getting older and passing away, as well as the younger generations really aren't having kids as young as what they used to. So we're not having as many births. We're having people getting older and passing away, and people moving out of the state. So it's not just, I don't think it's just 400,000 people moving out. I think it's a huge variation about where the numbers are going.
I agree. I mean, you can't believe everything you read.
It was on
Shouldn't.
the internet, so
I know. Everybody should read that and believe it.
I was thinking about why would California be concerned about this movement? Because it seemed like there were some studies put into place by the government entities to see, okay, are people really leaving and are we losing tax dollars from that? So it was saying that the top 0.5% of California taxpayers account for 40% of, top 0.5% of California tax earners account for 40% of the state income tax revenue.
Right.
So if a single billionaire were to leave, that would have large effects for the state. And so I was like, oh, okay. So they're probably monitoring who is actually leaving and what funds they're taking with them. I think that's what they're concerned about.
I agree. There was a study that I read. It was the former president of Chapman University put the study out. And he was saying that right now in June of this year, we have a AGI, an adjusted gross whatever income loss of $475 billion because of our top earners that have left. Tesla, Oracle, Toyota, Nestle, all of those top companies, they had all these top earners that left. And that's just but that's an aggregate, so it continues to grow every year. So it started out at 13 million like in 2014, and that was probably okay, right? And then as it just continues to grow, I think that's when the government realized, oh, I think we better start tracking who these people are,
Mm-hmm.
because we're losing some of that. And I want to say Tesla's paying like $44 million a day in income tax based on the amount of employees that they have that work for them and the people that they contract with.
Right.
So it's not just the Tesla employees, but the people that they contract with for other parts and pieces. They pay like $44 million a day. And I had to read that like 5 times. I'm like, was that like a year? No, it's a day. But I think that again, you have to take the source and then sparse it down to what's reality.
Right.
But I guess it was on Tesla's website, so I'm sure if they want to lie about that because it was for their stockholders. I don't know, just kind of crazy. What are you
Um,
thinking over there, Higgins?
So I was just reading. So one of the things that I saw too, I wanted to see how many people are moving to California. In 2020, I found a statistic about 437,275 people from other states and countries moved to California. So I think again, it's what we're focusing on, right? And I think that with us being in the real estate world too, we've seen clients list and leave. And actually, one of the things that I kind of dove into is just to look for the past 5 years of my clients and to track to see how many actually people moved out of state. And
Hmm.
out of 75 listings, I had 21 that left out of state.
Hmm.
The thing that actually kind of got crazy to me, I had 18 probate. So 18, which
Wow.
is way more than I ever thought I did. But these are trusts, these are probate, these are people contacting me to help their family sell these properties. And so I thought that was really interesting too, because that kind of showcases the other side, right? So you have people leaving, and then you have people who
Passing.
are naturally passing away,
mhm.
hopefully
Wow.
naturally.
That's a large number of people that have passed away and they're settling the estates.
Hmm.
You like dead people.
Well, and I until I started like tabulating, I'm like, okay, move up, move up. This is a move up person. This is a downsizing person. And I was like, oh, yeah, they were selling that for their sister. Oh, they were selling that for their dad. Or they're selling. I was like,
Wow.
I didn't realize that I already kind of was specializing in helping these people.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for my own data as well.
It does take a
Mhm.
special person to deal with that kind of trauma and drama in that whole scenario. So I'm sure they chose wisely when they picked you.
We dealt with my dad's when he passed. So I think that having been through it myself kind of helps.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hey, Tina, curious, when you
Yeah.
did that research for the Census Bureau, did you realize that you should be utilizing that information for marketing?
I definitely was like, this is really good information. And it was an amazing spreadsheet. Like it went into where everyone else was moving into. And I will link it somewhere afterwards so that you guys can see it and maybe for everyone else to see too, because it's super cool looking. Like if you're data driven, you're into that sort of things, it would be your dream.
Oh,
Like,
come on. We're nerds. Aren't we
yeah,
into
right.
that?
We're so into that.
Super. I saw it and I was like, "Ah."
The funny thing is, though, is when people see that and they don't realize that's a referral network tool. Like you
Mhm.
could totally go on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and find agents in those high traffic areas that people are moving to California and say,
Mhm.
hey, I'm your gal, I'm your guy, I'm your person. Um, I pay referrals. So, I just
Right.
really think that the Census Bureau is a huge help for people that are marketing for out of state people.
Yeah, definitely. Um So when Jennifer was looking at her clients, I actually took a more like personal approach. I actually interviewed a couple of my clients that had moved out of state, and I wanted to see and hear their experiences, um, and if it was all it was cracked up to be. So one of my clients that moved to Texas, and they have their kids moved there, and so they moved there as well, and I was interested in seeing how they were received. And so she actually said that she does not tell Texans that she's from California. And I was like, oh, interesting. She said, yes. She said, when they went to the DMV and they were changing, to get their new licenses, the lady, very empty, no lines. So they're like, yeah, positive, no lines. The lady that was helping them said, oh, hey, so you're coming from California. My finger's on the delete button right now. And if you bring your California politics here, I do you want me to push delete on this? And they're ha 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 ha, laughed it off, whatever. But we I thought that was like, oh, that's a little
Mm,
much, right?
yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and then so they moved to where they actually moved twice in Texas already. They first moved to kind of like the outskirts of like Austin area, not in Austin, but just a city outside of it. And then as they progress, so let's say Beaumont is 50,000 population, right? And they were California born and bred. So they came from LA, moved to Fontana, moved to Beaumont, then moved to the outskirts of Austin. And so now they went from 50,000 in Beaumont to about 9,000 in the outskirts of Austin. And they moved one more time, and the population where they're at now is about 5,000. So it's like,
Wow.
yes, but they're on a
Wow.
lake. They're on a lake and
Oh,
it's beautiful. And I'm like, okay, that I can see that. Like moving there just to be on a lake and have these beautiful sunsets, like I see that. But they were telling me, they took some things for granted. They said the hiking in Texas is not free. And I was like, what? How what? Yeah. So apparently California has a lot of national parks, state parks, areas where you can just get like a, national park pass or something, state park pass, and you can just hike all you want. I guess, where they are now, there's not a lot of that. And so a lot of the land is private land. So you have to
Mm.
pay to do something like hiking, and they're really like outdoorsy. So that was something they did not expect.
is it like
Good to
parking
know.
they pay for, or is it
From what they said,
like
it
a
was
ticket?
the hiking trail, like to be able to
Huh.
access the land, to be able to hike on that person or whatever land. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's something they took for granted. And they were saying that the first place they moved to, they're all like California expats, like the whole like street or the whole cul-de-sac. It was a new community in Texas that they moved to, and they're all from California. Maybe not
Wow.
all, but a majority from California. So they felt like they were able to have some family away from California, but still like that get them.
I have clients right now that are out in Idaho. We're still their home is listed right now, but they said that they felt a little strange, telling everybody that they were from California. But they went like, yeah, yeah, we're from California. And then about 10 other people like, we don't know, it's okay. You're telling us. So there are quite a lot, and I think that that's right. I think that people tend to all kind of land and around the same places, and that's good because then at least they can talk about things that they're familiar with and other people
Hmm.
understand.
Yeah.
But interesting.
It's funny because we have a house in Arizona, and so we have switched our residency. We're starting to switch our residency over there because, we can. And so at some point we'll be moving there, right? Got to find the right place. That being said, kind of Tina, that's a great point. We go into DMV and it's not even a DMV. It's a little title service place. There's one on every corner. You walk in, you take a number, you sit down, they call you, done, right? Super cheap. Um, they hand you the license while you're there. There's, no waiting for it or anything. So it's funny because oh, you're from California. But they didn't take our California driver's license.
Huh.
They
That's
just
what I said.
knew.
Yeah. I'm like, so I have dual citizenship? Is that what I call myself? But it's funny because that's one of the things that I thought, people are like, oh, you're from California. Yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah. And I've heard it, don't bring your Californiaisms
Mm-hmm.
into our state. There's a shirt that I've read somewhere out there. And I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but okay, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I just be me, right? Yeah.
I remember 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Oregon. We had so many people that were moving to Oregon that people were saying oh, if you have a California driver's license plate, you wanted to change that out real quick because people were running off the road. And I'm like, what is that? It's just so odd. But in a way I can get it, because if you sell your home in California for $1 million and you could buy up 3 houses wherever you move to, and now the locals now can't really afford. So
yeah, they're driving up the prices. And for me, I think that Oregon, people that move to Oregon, are they moving back because of the weather? Are they moving back because, are they moving back from Texas? Are they wherever they've gone? How many of those people are coming back because the grass isn't greener?
right.
It's just a little different shade,
Mm-hmm.
right? I just know I've heard people, oh, yeah, we thought it was going to be great, and so we moved there, and now they're back,
Yeah.
and now you're back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then what happens as our prices keep on going up when they can't come back?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the gals that they moved to Texas. She was a hairdresser, and her husband was, I don't know, something where he was the business owner. They moved to Texas. They love it. Boy, do they miss California.
Yeah.
The weather's great. You can't beat some of the stuff in California. You
Yeah.
could be at the mountains, the beach, and the desert all in one day and not even break a sweat while you're going. Well, maybe in the desert you would, but anyway, just my
I
thought.
think that's one of the things I love about California is the same thing. Yeah, I can go down to the ocean. I can go up to the mountains. Everything is basically within 45 minutes of my house. So I can't see it happening anywhere else. Where would you guys, if you could pick any state right now, if somebody had said, will you move this state, where would it be? Tina.
Well, I'm originally from Oregon, so I'd probably move back to Oregon. I'd be one of those annoying people driving up the costs.
But you're not annoying.
I could be.
Okay.
I'll keep my options open.
Christy, what about you?
Obviously Arizona. And part of that is because we've been out there so much, that we truly do enjoy it. We're not moving just because, oh, Arizona. Yeah, we like it that much. It's a little bit more laid back. And being retired folks, older people, they have stuff for us. There's a couple of really nice military bases out there. That helps.
Mm.
So, yeah, where would you move?
Out of the country.
I thought you said in the United States.
I know, but I would go to Costa Rica before I went anywhere else. And actually, in 2020 to 2021, there was, I think, 2.6% of people who left California left the whole entire country. So that's actually an interesting stat that people are going up elsewhere. Talk about making your dollar go further. I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
If it was for me, I feel like I would want to move for weather because I'm not a hot person.
Right.
I like colder weather, so I would want to have to go north somehow. Colder weather somewhere. Yeah.
Canada?
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
Not much into snow, so I'll go somewhere it's a little warmer, but not too hot.
Why don't I snowbird it?
Yeah.
Do the opposite?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
exactly.
you totally could.
That's what we're thinking, because we can move to Arizona and then come back here in our RV, which is what we do now. We just reverse it. We go
Right.
there in our RV and then we come home. But now we're going to go there and then come back in the RV.
Mm-hmm.
Just
That
keep your eyes open. You find a house in Arizona. No, just
Sounds
kidding.
good.
So one thing is I still, California, we're still the most populous state in the whole entire nation. We have 10 million more residents than the next, which is Texas. So just for the amount of space that we have and how many people we have, and I want to say that we could be our own nation and be in like the top 10 of
Top 5.
the top 5. Okay.
Like,
Which
I
is,
think California's the 4th economy in the world.
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
madness.
It's madness.
And I don't think it's run extremely well, but yeah. We have so much agriculture, we have so much tech, we have so many different industries that are here already and that are growing and are innovating. I feel like it's a very innovative state.
I agree. I think if we can stay on track, we have a lot of great things to offer. And
Mhm.
granted, there is the homelessness and the insurance issues and all of that, but is it better anywhere else? How many homeless people per capita do you have? I mean, let's measure it correctly. Let's call
Right.
apples apples and oranges oranges, instead of just saying we have more than the rest. Well, if you have 10 million more residents, the likelihood of you having more is that.
Yeah.
So that's what drove me nuts on doing the research. You would read one thing and you're just like, that doesn't make sense. And then you would read something and you'd be like, wait a minute, that's complete opposite.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that does drive me batty about this state. It's like, could we just report the facts and leave all the emotions and all the parties out of it?
Right.
Just say, here's the facts, digest them correctly, and then let's vote, right? Yeah, it drives me nuts.
I was also looking into the homeless situation, but I feel like that could be a whole nother topic.
Mm.
But
I think it should be.
yeah, maybe in the future. But I was reading information and it just seemed so extreme, saying that, California has this many homeless. And when I was interviewing, my past client, I was like, did you notice a difference in homelessness? And they're like, actually, no, we didn't. We feel like there's just as much homelessness
Right.
where we moved to. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it didn't go away just because you left California. They're like, no. I was like, okay, good to know.
Mhm. Mhm.
I found
I
another. They say that a lot of people are moving out, but they also say a lot of the things that California does have moving in is immigrants. And so
Yes.
I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole for that. So we are currently home to 10.5 million immigrants, 23% of the foreign-born population nationwide. In 2021, the most current year of data, 27% of California's population was foreign-born, almost double the percentage in the rest of the country, and the highest share of any state. It said, let's see, immigrants in California are concentrated in the state's large coastal metropolitan areas. In 2021, they're mostly like Santa Clara, San Mateo, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Alameda. And almost half of our immigrants are from Latin America, but the majority of new arrivals are actually from Asia. So the vast majority of California's immigrants were born in Latin America, 49%, or Asia, 39%. And we have a lot of population of Filipinos, Chinese, Indians, and people from Vietnam. And they actually said that because this has been such a destination for immigrants, that people feel more welcome here overall, that Californians have a positive view of immigrants. Nearly 4 in 5 Californians, or 78%, believe that immigrants are a benefit to the state because they're hard work and job skills, and only 18% believe that they are a burden. An even larger share, I thought this was really interesting, 87% believe that undocumented immigrants should have a way of staying in the country legally, and 81% favor a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants who meet certain requirements. So I thought that was so interesting because, again, the things that you hear aren't necessarily that. And I will say my biggest thing is always, you're saying you're going to kick out all the immigrants. Are you going to go work in the fields and pick, fruit? Are you going to go and do all these jobs? Because you can't. California runs on bringing people in and trying to give them a better life by working hard. And I just think that I liked seeing that 4 in 5 Californians believe people are a benefit, because that's huge.
So Jennifer, you were reading some of the cities that they move into: San Francisco, LA, the most expensive places to live in the
Mhm.
state, yet they can sustain homes.
Yeah.
So if there's a will, there's a way,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there might be, I know when I moved out from my parents, there was, I don't know, 7, 10, some days 12 people that lived in a house. It fluctuated depending on how much money we needed that month for
Right.
rent, but it was a 6 bedroom or 5 bedrooms. But so you just made things work. But when you really want to be in California, you can afford it. You
Right.
just may have to work 3 jobs. And those people aren't afraid to work 3 jobs.
Right. And help each other and support each other.
Hmm.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's the
Yeah.
whole thing, is they may all have 3 jobs and they're all going to the community pot to help people continue to go to school and help them better themselves. And I think
Right.
that in itself is the American dream. It's still
Yeah,
out there.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I agree. I think I was reading a very similar, I probably the same article as you were, and I was interested. I think I was interested in like the overall movement of people. And so when you were saying like, we have a lot of international immigrants coming in, and then we have domestic migration moving out to the States. And that's kind of like the flow of migration throughout California. And
Right.
so like when I was reading, it was talking about during the pandemic time, we kind of put a stop to like international immigration paused it from certain areas, right? And so I think at that point it became very apparent that people were moving out, but they weren't being replaced by international immigration coming in. So
Exactly.
that I thought was kind of an interesting fact there. So yeah, like I don't know, as an immigrant myself, like at a certain point when I was growing up, it was like my whole family was living in like this was my parents, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, all living in one house in Oregon together. So it was like everyone had a room, right? And so, yeah, I mean, thankfully, we've all like have it grown enough and been able to buy our own homes, separately. But at a certain time when we were immigrating over, that's what it was like.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and
But you
you
were willing to do the hard work, and you were
right.
willing to make that concession. And I think that might be what's kind of missing with the people that just assume that California's lost its way, is that
Mhm.
they've kind of lost their appeal to work hard, work diligent, make concessions, not have Starbucks every single day, not wear the designer clothes that you think you need.
Right.
Everyone can afford to live here if they worked hard and saved money.
Absolutely.
Um, but people spend money on things that aren't necessarily necessities.
I
I
think we need to do an episode on consumerism. I'm very enthralled with consumerism, knowing my own habits.
Uh,
I've been raised on office coffee. Like I don't get Starbucks because for me that's a very expensive, indulgent
right.
like coffee purchase. And I know a lot of people do it and I get it. I mean, that's nice. But for me, I was raised on just nasty office coffee and that's what I
Well, and it's
I make a
interesting
cup
how
of coffee. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
you just change your brain that little bit, right? So
yeah.
that you have a cup of homebrew
Mhm.
coffee before you leave the house, and there's just little things you can do daily to help save up for your down payment, to help
Mhm.
Yep.
save up for those things that you want, instead of being um credit card driven and
Is that
people.
another episode?
It's totally another episode. I love it.
Yeah.
How to
Yeah,
save for
How
your
to
down payment
save for your down payment.
I like that.
by
Like, cut
adjusting little
costs.
things in your life.
Yes.
Yeah. Smart thinking, ladies. You all
Love
are
it.
nerds.
Do we have anything else that we wanted to cover? Any other nuggets for today? Tina, did you find your notes?
Yeah, I did find my notes. I had it in a very safe place where I totally forgot where that was, and then I found it. Can I share? I just want to share the states that have low to no income tax. Can I share that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
There are 8 states, and it's Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wyoming. Yeah. My research. It says
And you
so.
wonder, how's their budget? Maybe that's another show. States that have no income tax.
They're
how do
getting
they
money
manage-
somehow, right?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I know that some of them have a higher real estate property taxes. Not significantly higher, but high enough, right?
Mhm.
Others have gas tax. So but maybe that's a show.
Ooh, I
Just
like
saying.
it.
Yeah.
The economics of statehood.
Nice. I love it.
So, speaking of topics, again, if you are watching our show and you would like to submit a topic, we are always up to do a little bit of fun research because we are 3 nerds. I do have my random stuff. Are we ready for random?
I'm ready for random.
Okay.
Bring it.
Okay.
Bring it.
Because it is August, I'm going to do things all about August. All right. Did you know that August was originally named Sextilis? Nobody did. Okay, so it actually was Sextilis, which means the 6th month. It was renamed to August in 8 BCE to honor the first Roman emperor, Augustus Caesar. So that's why it's August. It originally did not have 31 days. So originally it was, 30 days. But Augustus, because he's an emperor and thinks he's pretty cool, he wanted to have the same amount of days as the month named after Julius Caesar, which was July. So that's why July has 31 days and August has 31 days.
Wow. Mind
I
blown.
know. I was kind of like, psh. Okay, there's more. The first week of August is called Simplify Your Life Week. Did anybody do this? I don't.
Officially? Wow.
Yeah.
Simplify
So
your
says the interwebs.
Oh, yes.
August also has a special day for left-handed people. On August the 13th, it's a day to recognize the unique qualities of left-handed people. My mom would be very excited about that because she tried to make us all left-handed and it did not work. And then I will end with the word August means inspiring reverence or admiration. It comes from the Latin word Augustus, which means inspiring reverence or admiration. And also today, the word August is often used to describe something that is impressive, majestic, or awe-inspiring. August!
Wow. I did not know those things.
I
The
didn't
more
either.
you know.
I feel so educated now.
I love randomness.
My
Me
brain is
too.
full and I love it.
Yes.
Well, thanks, ladies. I learned a lot from you guys and from doing the research, so I appreciate you two.
Yay.
I had fun. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. And again, send us some topics and just let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want us to change. And we're still fledgling. We're still growing.
We're getting there.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Bye. And that brings us to the end of another exciting episode of In 3 Nerds We Trust. Thank you for listening and hanging out with us today. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, reach out to us at in3nerdswetrust@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, so don't hesitate to reach out. If you found some value in today's episode and want to stay connected, here are a few ways you can do that. Subscribe to In 3 Nerds We Trust on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and review on any of the platforms. Your feedback helps us improve and reach a wider audience. Share this episode with friends, family, or anyone who might enjoy the thoughts and insights we shared today. We'll have a new episode every other week, so please stay tuned for more interesting topics. Thanks again for your support, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube as well. Bye!